Hello, it's George Rosen, founder and CEO of Fastcall, and I'm going to talk for a few minutes about the settings in the Fastcall application. So I am logged in. We're actually looking at Lightning, though I could just as well be in Classic. Logged in as an admin, I'm going to see settings for myself as a user would be my settings, and the admin settings are down here, and these are controlled by a permission set. I'm going to focus only on the admin settings. I'm just going to go through our settings and sort of do a quick overview on each setting. I'm not going to do a deep dive on any of those settings. I'm starting down here under the subscription, and we'll see here that under the subscription we show some shortcuts to your account in the App Exchange, which is where you'll find um, any available upgrades, and you would also manage your credit card. A link to our release notes, which is on fastcall.com. Under licensing and billing, you'll see the addition, which we manage in the back end via Salesforce capabilities. Total number of licenses, what's used. There's the license for the site guest user. In this case, in my org, I have 4 licenses available. Um, the link to purchase additional licenses are here. Same link as the previous tab. They both go to my account in the App Exchange. For that matter, this one does as well. Packages and capabilities. I'm looking at version 5.42. It's July 2018. It says summer 2018, and we list capabilities here, which really just, again, will correspond to protected settings in Salesforce. So since we sort of started here, support is kind of as it seems. You can submit the support ticket from Fastcall, which will open a case with us, which is helpful, and we will also know whether you're submitting the support here as an admin or if the user is doing so up here, which is also very helpful. So from here, let's not work our way up from the bottom. Let's start back up at the top with our admin settings. So the user panel is actually our older user panel. We've moved some of this to the dashboard, which is actually up here, and not a setting in the app. But the user panel is going to show all of your users, if they have the permission sets for admin or not. Um, some information about their status. When a user's on a call, this will say on a call. If you're using an extension for inbound, it would be listed here. And when you're adding new users, you would do so here. You can search and filter for various users here as well. We do have a separate page on how to add users. For each user, when you add them to Fastcall, um, we are giving the user an application license, a permission set, and a call center file. So there was just that easy. Call goals, we've just recently moved up top because we really want that to be one of the first things that you see for new users when they're setting up the application. Our goals are here. We've had goals for a long time, but we just recently redid these, and we are continuing to work on call goals. And call goals are assigned to users or groups and come in 2 different types, call counts or calls per user. And you can see how they're set up here. So 200 calls per month, 5 calls per record. So the calls are either per time period or per record, and pretty cool. Enhanced reporting is showing you the lookup relationship between the goals and a particular record. So if you want to see call goals on the account object, we're creating that lookup record relationship for you here. It would make sense to have an account contact lead. So if you want to run a report that says leads and those call goals, you would create that lookup relationship here, which enables reporting. So under call logging, you're going to find call results, um, which is new. This section is new, and part of the reason why I wanted to do this video. So we're now really have been doing a lot of work here. So for call results, I can say I'm going to set a call result for an outbound call, and I can pick my object type here. So let's say it's lead, and I'm going to set call results for the outbound calls to lead, and these are specific call results set for just that object, and in that case, outbound calls. And these are call results for all objects. So call results have always been able to filter by inbound and outbound, but we've done quite a bit more in terms of narrowing this down to specific objects, and also using call results to update fields on other objects. So call results really is one of the main levers that you have in Fastcall. Quite a bit that you can do with your call results. For example, call results can be used to end calls and as I said, update fields on another object. So for example, if your call result is gave presentation, you can update your lead status to gave presentation, which is pretty cool. Result settings, I just talked about that a second ago. Do I want to require call results to close a task? We default this to yes. Am I going to show call results in the sidebar? Subject hasn't changed much, but these are our subjects. This is a default subject, and you can append some information to the subject optionally. So for example, this subject will have appended call result plus the call date and time. Task is also sort of a heavy lifter in Fastcall. We give you a bunch of different options for tasks. There's really quite a bit of control. Do you want to create a task? Is the first option, because you can say no, and we can only use the custom record for calls. The default is generally yes. Creating a task for completed calls, SMS. Some users, some admins want to keep an open task for missed calls. Same thing for voicemails and some information about tasks here. Fastcall will pick up any task pick list in our widget. So these are pick lists that exist in your org priority ACD call focus. So if you have a pick list value that exists in your org, you can add this to our widget. You also have the option to add a follow-up call to the widget. So the follow-up call says call in 1 week. Widget interface gives you some more customization around the widget itself. Do I want to see the subject? Do I want to see notes? Am I going to add a lookup to opportunities, to cases? Am I going to enable multiple contacts within an account? So if I call an account on create a multiple contact lookup relationship, which does have to be enabled in Salesforce. And then finally, some information about call termination, some options around how we terminate calls, including the ability to add a delay after we terminate a call. So for example, I end the call and I popped in 30 seconds here. I'm not going to receive an inbound call until after 30 seconds. So it basically just gives you a little bit of time after you've ended a call for inbound calls. Okay, so call handling. Call handling is a new setting where we've moved everything that involves calls itself. So everything under call logging was here above. So now we've lumped all the call handling together, which is outbound calls. You see inbound, et cetera, et cetera. So outbound calls, we have some options here, automatically dial an extension. Ring times are important in specific use cases. Really the user leg ring time. If you were in click to call using a hard phone and this ring time is long, you could potentially ring the user's voicemail on click to call, and you don't want that. So that's why you have the ability to set that short. This should be shorter than the voicemail would be on the user call. Outbound is less important, but after 45 seconds in this particular case, the application would give up. So if you were making an outbound call and there was no voicemail on the far side, so a long duration there usually makes sense. These are the defaults. So inbound, we have our inbound settings of voicemail, looking up the records beginning of the call, which is the default, some status for creating new leads from an inbound call, missed call settings, so there's a missed call email, the ability to log a user out automatically if they miss calls, IVR, which we do have some specific page on, so I won't go into too much detail. Your IVRs are managed here. IVRs are a little bit more of a complex setup, but they would be here. And there's both actions and flows for IVRs, but we have a dedicated page as we do for three-way calling. This is also a newer setting, three-way calling, and in the most recent release, we just introduced the ability to transfer calls with 2 legs, which is a cold call transfer. So the first thing we do for our three-way calls, we enable it. We're using the three-way call for call transfers and listen in, so you enable that. And three-way calls can be enabled for a specific user, so in this case it's Camillo. If I was going to listen to calls and I only want to enable a three-way call for Camillo and listen to his calls, I could do that, and that's an important setting. Otherwise, I could set this for all or a group. So that gives you some additional control over the three-way call. In a three-way call, because it's not a standard two-way call, you have the option for audio, could be music. There is an option for ringing. We don't recommend silence if you're using inbound calls. Um, And then we have the setting we call training tools, which we call recording and then listen in. So call recording, a couple different settings here, recording outbound calls, inbound calls, dual channel recording. It's very interesting. We do have a separate page specifically talking about call recording. Do I want to show the call recording in the indicator in the widget? Can users turn call recording off? Am I deleting call recording? Disclosure. Listen in, we talked about a few seconds ago. I can enable listen in for outbound, for inbound. Coaching is a new setting, which is using Twilio Agent Conference, which does have to be enabled. You see that option here. Coaching allows you to whisper to the user, to one leg of the call. Kind of the same idea as dual channel call recording. It splits the call into two channels. So in this case, you are whispering to just the user. You have to enable that. That's a newer feature. Call transfer. I talked about before, warm call transfer uses three legs because there will be three parties on the call. Call transfer is only using two legs, so it's a sort of a lighter call implementation, inbound, outbound. This is also something that we've recently added, the ability to transfer to phones. So by default, you can transfer calls to a Fastcall user, to a Salesforce user, to a group. This is a new option, which is to a phone. So if you're sort of always transferring call to your reception desk, but that's not a Fastcall user or a Salesforce user, you can just set it up as a phone number. So if you just need to ever transfer a call to a phone number, you manage that here. Um, we have one setting for all of our upgrade features, at least in terms of call handling, dial by list, voicemail drop, our internal dialer, SMS, and SMS by list. Devices are managed here, and we have specific pages and videos on everything that sort of is more advanced. All of these features here. Devices are just what you're enabling that the user is going to see in the widget. So if I took the click to call office off, the user won't see that. Your phone numbers are managed here, and these are both provisioned phones and verified phones, SMS templates, are templates used for SMS. Groups use Salesforce groups, but we add a custom object on top of that to give some additional custom fields, but they are essentially Salesforce groups. And we use Salesforce groups in a couple of different ways. We use them for inbound call routing. We use them to assign phone numbers. We use them to assign caller IDs. We use them to assign, I think, SMS templates and voicemail drops, recorded messages. So groups mentioned recorded messages here. So they are managed here and again are assigned to either users or groups. Our regional settings are used to add country code when you need it. The BLocal is the local caller ID on the outbound call. Settings by area code will actually block call recording by North American area code. It's North America only, but that's what that setting is. Lifetime alert. We'll pop a warning if you're trying to call an area code. I believe that's also North American only. Outside of office hours. So if you're trying to call if you're on the west coast of the U.S. and you're trying to call the East Coast and it's after hours on the East Coast, we would give you a warning before the user would dial that call. VoIP settings are where you connected Twilio, and there's a bunch of information here around what you might need for Twilio. And again, we have a specific page and deep dive on this. The Force.com site you set up when you're initially creating the application. You generally don't ever need to touch that again after the first time. Import VoIP numbers, just importing Twilio numbers. If you ever transfer numbers to Twilio and you need to resync them, essentially you do that here. It doesn't happen very often. And then kind of just back to where we started, some advanced settings here. System job, which you don't really need very often, so there's actually nothing much here under advanced settings. And the subscription and support, kind of where we started. So again, we have deep dive information on just about all of those different settings, but I didn't have a video that kind of went through all the settings end to end, so I wanted to do that. If you have any questions, shoot us an email, support@fastcall.com, and hopefully you found this helpful. See you later.